Hey, I don't know about you, but if you guys can hear that intro music, Smith, my producer, he does a great job with that stuff. He's got me grooving. I think he creates his own music. Did you create that, Smith?
I do create my own music, but I did not create those. I do want to replace them with originals originally.
You've got to get, I've got to have an original. Okay, guys, it's that day again. It's Thursday. It's dealer school time. It's Dealer Academy. We're going to educate some dealers, some dealer principles. And if you're a salesperson, you need to tune in. You need to know all this stuff, because if you know how dealers need to think, then you'll be a great dealer, a great general manager one day. As always, my Thursday guest is Caleb Wilson. Without further ado, bring on the dealer operator expert. What's up, Caleb?
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Everything's great.
Man, you've given us some great knowledge. We had some, I actually took what you told us last Thursday and rolled it into Monday show and Tuesday show. So it's very good stuff. I'm all about sales and helping dealers. And it's obvious that you're an expert. You've worked with the Cardone Group. You've worked all over, the country with some of the nation's largest dealer groups. Tremendous track record of success. But I want to start this show by talking about something that you and I have to deal with very often, which is staffing events. We run staffed and unstaffed events, and we only have a handful of what we call closers or dealer event facilitators, because you and I are just not going to let just anyone represent our name out there, when these dealers are paying us a lot of money to come in and help them. So that's why we only have about probably 8 or 10 guys that actually go out and staff, right?
That's right. Because they may talk to us on the phone, but the guy that shows up at the store becomes, he becomes Buyback Billy. He becomes Caleb. He becomes, the person they associate the company with. So it's really important that we have quality, clean guys that could, we don't want to have the typical roadshow guy who is going through 3 divorces at the same time, coming out of rehab and just trying to find a way to make some money. So that's why we have a very limited staff, because if we could find super great quality guys like the ones we have, we could sell more, staff more, do more. It comes back to finding, the right people.
Yes. So now we've met a lot of talented people, and if someone passes the drug test and someone passes the video and we can tell they're talented and they're good enough to close us on that they can work for us, and we're going to give them a shot, but we're going to keep it really close. We had someone one time, we're not going to call any names. This is a funny story. You want to tune in. I'm telling you, this is a funny story. We had a guy that he worked about 5 events for us, done a great job. The dealers loved him. He did a great job. And then he no-showed on us one time. And I don't think that I even told you that he had no-showed. I simply just replaced him, put him on the you can't work for us anymore program. And he called me very apologetically one day and asking for a second chance. And I gave him a second chance. He called me late at night, and I needed, it just so happened, this is how funny it was. There was a dealer out in Texas, and the closer had an emergency and couldn't go. And this person called me. We'll call him Chris. So Chris called me and said, I really want to, I really want to make it up to you. I want to go work for you guys and do a great job for you. And this was late at night. I'm talking about 11 days. I said, well, I tell you what you can do. If you can get to the airport by X time and be here, then do it. He said, well, I don't have any money. So I gave him, I wired him just enough. Just enough for a plane ticket. And he said, and I'd like to have like $3 for a Coke. So I wired him $3 for a Coke. He said, I need a $18 haircut. So I'm telling you, he had like just a few pennies left over when he got to where he was going. Now, here's where Caleb comes in. Caleb, I was sleeping the next morning when he arrived in Texas. He couldn't get a hold of me. Your phone started ringing. What happened?
So my phone starts ringing, and he says, "Hey, man, I can't get a hold of Billy, and I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm supposed to be in Texas, but I ended up landing in Shreveport, and I need to get to the dealership." And I said, "Okay, man, no problem. Just get a car and just I'll look up the dealership and I'll find you a hotel close by and we'll help you out." I was like, "But I think Billy's supposed to be handling this, one of his customers, but I'll do what I can to help you." So I start calling Billy, and he's asleep. I can't get a hold of him. So I call the guy back. I'm like, hey, all right, just get your car and go to the town. And by the time you get to town, Billy will have woke up, and he'll be able to help you get a room and stuff. He's like, all right, great. How do I get a car? And I'm like, who is this guy? Because I never talked to him. He just talked to you. And he's like, I said, just get a rental car. He's like, I can't get a rental car. And I'm like, you don't have a driver's license or what? And I'm like, what? I was like, so I started looking up how much it cost to Uber to Texas from where he was at. So it was going to be about $800. So I'm like, well, we're not doing that. So I called the rental car place, and he was going to pay for it. So I was like, I'll send you the money. But he didn't have a credit card. So he's got to go to Walmart and get a credit card, he said, if I would just send him the money. So instead, I called the rental car place, and I got them to book it over the phone. They said it was against their policy and all this. Well, I got them to do it, and they took my credit card, and we got him a car. And then so he gets in the car, and he drives to Texas, and then he calls back and says, okay, I'm at the dealership now. How do I get a hotel room? And I'm like, what the hell is Billy doing with this guy? I was like, man, I ain't got time to deal with this. It's not even my customer. So I call, we get him a hotel, and then I don't know what happened. I guess you can explain what happened when he got to the dealership, but that was the communication cycle from he just said, okay, I'll go, lands, doesn't know how to get a rental car, can't rent anything in his name, and has no credit. He can't do anything.
I remember he called you and he said, he was like, he said, what now? And Katie was like, what do you mean, what now? He said, well, Billy just told me to come to Shreveport, and then if I can make it here, he'd tell me what to do next. So
Billy didn't even tell him he was working a sale. He just told him to go to Shreveport.
Yeah, he didn't know. He was like, and then so he had no idea, and then Caleb had no idea. I finally woke up and explained what was going on, but he actually pulled the event off, and we gave him a few more chances.
Hold on. You may not even know this part of the story. So after the event, I don't know how he gets back to Georgia, but the rental car goes missing for 90 days. So, so I get this like. Every day when I'm balancing the American Express out, there's this increasing charge from budget. It's just going up and up and up. And I'm like, what in the world's going on? Who's out driving a car? So I call them, and they're like, the car was never returned to Shreveport. Well, what ends up happening is this idiot took the car back to a different airport and just left it parked outside the airport in the front lane with the keys in it. And so they charged me. It was like $3,700 what it was. And then I had to report it as, I reported it and said, this is inaccurate charge. Well, the only way they would give me the money back was if I did a police report and reported the card stolen. And because they took it over the phone, there was no record of the transaction. So I ended up getting my money back. But he got a police report filed in the state of Texas for stealing a rental car.
I was going to leave that part out, Caleb, but hey, full disclosure here today, you're right. And we still haven't found this guy. We have looked everywhere. But here's the wonderful thing. The dealer keeps calling and requesting him again. Said he's the greatest closer, the greatest facilitator. Well, here's the great news. We have 10 other guys out there. I'm just going to name some of them. We got Joey Arbison out there. He's got dealers that request him. He can only work 3 or 4 dealers because they run events over and over. So I tell you what, Caleb, let's use this time to tell everyone exactly what we do and what we do for what our service is. I mean, we've been very informative. Let's use this to explain, hey, they may want to copy and do exactly what we do. And by the way, thanks for Ken Walls and Sarah Stalker for sharing this today.
Absolutely. So what our guys do is all the things we've been talking about really on Thursday so far. The main thing is when and we're going to talk about communication today between ownership, general managers, and department heads. But, a general manager or a marketing director, we have some very big groups we work with where the marketing department makes decisions, and they may not even inform the store of what they're doing. So it may just be the marketing department makes the plans, the store does it, and no one at the store knows. So I would say that's really commonplace. With us, I would say maybe 30% of our events, the dealers really don't know what's going on if we don't get on the phone and kind of walk them through it. They just know a lot of people start showing up. So a facilitator comes in and they have a training, or sales training with the whole team to get everyone on the same page Typically, they show up on Wednesday afternoons and just observe the store, see, kind of get a feel for the flow. And then they work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if whatever the dealer books for them to be there. And then what they're going to do is greet everyone up front. They're going to get everyone registered for the event. They're going to slow the sales process down. They're going to move the trade up front, go ahead and get the buyback, the appraisal going right up front. We know that's the best sales process. That's the best way to sell cars. Usually it's against the dealer's old school process of meet, greet, show them a car, fall in love, go on a test drive, and then do the appraisal. But we move the appraisal up front because we can handle more traffic that way. So we find out where we are with the customer a lot faster. We can use that trade-in to tell us what to show the customer. We can use the trade-in to find out, do they buy new or used? What their credit score is. Everything, we can get all that information from looking at the trade-in. And my guys, or our guys, know that. And so they take the trade process up front and they basically recreate the sales process in the store for 3 days. And the shakeup gets everyone excited. The guy's positive. He doesn't know anything negative about anyone in the store. He doesn't have any judgment of anyone in the store. He doesn't understand the hierarchy of anything. All he knows is for 3 days, I got to show up with a great attitude, a lot of knowledge of how to do my job, and just do a great job at that store. And so at the end of the day, sell cars and make a lot of gross while doing it. And what I will say is a lot of times I'll get calls back from our dealers and they'll say, hey man, the sale, maybe the sale wasn't great. Maybe they only had 50 appointments, and not the 100 they expected. They'll say sometimes, well, my sale may not have been exactly what I wanted, or, maybe it was better last year without COVID and all this stuff going on or whatever. But the closer made it worth it because we made so much more gross on our normal deals because we changed our sales process for them, because we communicated where we were at in the deal and let that guy go out there and make us as much money as possible. So the closer, to me, I mean, it's a very small, I'd say it's 25% of the cost of a normal event, and they come in and they make a dramatic difference. Never have had a deal where it went sideways or they called and said, we don't want to do business with you because of your closer,
Right.
So they've always done a great job.
Absolutely. So, and I want to just pick up on or make some points about what you said there. So when we do these events, we do Facebook events, Facebook only. We'll put a big offer out there on Facebook that generates attention. And generally, we like a buyback campaign because people care about their trade-in. They want to know how much money they're getting for their trade-in. And I want to explain to people how we legitimize a $5,000 over KBB offer. Now, here's some secret information for you. You can take the expert advice right here given from Caleb and me and do it yourself. Now, we've had people do that, and then they call us back and say, hey, we want you guys to do it because this is all we do. But if we run a $5,000 over KBB event, here's how legitimate this offer is. It's a fact. You ask any used car manager, I'll ask you, Caleb, is the price of used cars, is the cost of getting used car inventory cheap or very expensive right now?
It's impossible to buy at the auction unless you're willing to. You can throw the book away. That's why the Manheim MMR online transactions, it has a report just like the stock market, and it shows used car values in the last 90 days just continually going up, because to buy a car right now, you have to outbid CarMax, you have to outbid Carvana, you have to outbid these big companies, and they just have a buyer holding their hand up because they can average cost out nationwide against the same type of inventory. So if they buy 3 Toyota Camrys in Charlotte and 7 in San Diego and 9 in Colorado, they can pay more in different areas and average the cost. And that's why these big dealer groups make it almost impossible to buy from the auction. Trade acquisition is the best way. And now some of those secrets real quick before you start, Billy, on how it works is what we do with a trade-in is we take the customer outside. We ask them, hey, what do you like most about your car? What do you like least about it? Do you remember what you paid for it? And they'll say, so here's a good example, Billy. We walk out, we look at your vehicle. Okay. I walk out and I'm like, wow, Billy, this is a nice truck. I'm walking around the truck. What could I tell about Billy Merritt from looking at your truck? What information would I be able to see?
Well, you're going to see feed bags for horses. You're going to see gas cans or diesel cans. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see that's something to do with a dog or a farm or something like that.
So I'm going to see. So I'm going to get a lot of information. So if you walked in the showroom and I greeted you in the showroom, I'm like, hey, welcome to Caleb Wilson Motors. My name is Caleb. Do you like going camping, Billy? That'd be a pretty strange question, right? But if we're out at your truck and you've got the big hitch on the back and you've got campground stickers on your truck, now it's a real question. And obviously you're passionate about that. You want to talk about it. So if we go out in your truck and you've got a Georgia Bulldogs front tag on it, and I'm like, man, we start talking football, I can look at that trade-in and build a lot faster rapport with you and have a real conversation instead of saying things like, hey man, where do you work at? Are you married? Right. All those questions, because let's say you walk in that store, Billy, and I say, are you married? Just trying to start a conversation, and you just caught your wife cheating on you. Are you going to be real excited about buying that car? You're going to be, man, you're going to be upset. So the trade tells us that. And then let's say I open the doors up and I see 2 car seats in the back. And more than that, one's pink and one's blue. I know you've got 2 kids at least now. I know one's a boy, one's a girl. So we take that trade in, we look at it, and it gives us, and my closer now has really good rapport with the customer right away. And then secondly, we're going to ask you, hey, do you remember what you paid for it? And 90% of customers are going to say, no, but my payments are, right? So I'm like, Billy, that's a great, this is a great vehicle. Do you remember what you paid for it? No, but my payments are $500 a month. And I'm going to say, wow, man, that's a great payment. How'd you get it so low? And you're going to either freak out and go, that's not low, or, hey, well, I had a paid for trade and I put money down. So right then I know Billy buys new trucks. Billy, he doesn't, when I said, how'd you get the payment so low? He said, man, it's killing me. I know that I don't need to go show him something that's more expensive. I need to try to find him something to lower his payment. But he also has to have a truck because he has the feedbacks, he has the diesel cans. And I know he buys new cars. I know he had a lot paid for trade-in. I'm looking at the guy, so he probably has pretty good credit, so I can go ahead and start getting my whole deal ready. So now I go as the closer. I'm the closer for Billy Merritt Marketing. I walk up the desk. I'm like, hey guys, I've got a guy who has a lot of equity in his vehicle. He had a paid for trade-in. He's trying to lower his payments now. He has to have a truck. He likes to buy new. What vehicle do I need to show him that we can make money on and also fit all his needs? So that's what I think our closers are fully trained to do, versus what happens with a new salesman at a store trying to get a trade-in from a customer.
Absolutely. And that, like you said, putting that trade-in up front, the first thing we do, when do we appraise the cars? Right now. Okay. Putting that up front, it does, like you said, it creates a real conversation, but it also creates a meaningful conversation, not just, something. You're not trying to build rapport. You're having a meaningful conversation about this person's wants or at least needs. And it also puts the emphasis. This is so important. Don't miss this. It puts the emphasis on what the customer cares about. How much are you going to give me for my trade-in? That's always going to come up. It means so much. Let's go ahead and address that. And that's what we do. And then many times they're coming in because we're going to give them $5,000 over Kelley Blue Book for their trade-in. A funny story on that. And a lot of people like to hear this, but when in the early stages of the buyback program, we titled ourselves the Kelley Blue Book Buyback Event. And Cox, you mentioned Cox and Manheim. They also own Kelley Blue Book. They didn't appreciate that we called it the Kelley Blue Book Buyback Program. So I actually they know who Billy Merritt is, Billy from Brockton. Cox from Atlanta knows who I am because I talked to their attorney more than one time. I talked to their attorney when I did a direct mail piece that said the Kelley Blue Book Buyback Campaign. She sent me a cease and desist, and I did. Well, a few years later, I'd forgotten. I swear I'd forgotten about it. So we started doing Facebook events. What do we call them? The Kelley Blue Book Buyback. Yeah.
We did the mailer. I remember printing the mail for you to match the sale.
Yeah. It was a great event. But anyway, they know who we were. And but we still, I said, okay, so can I mention Kelley Blue Book in the ad? Now, a lot of people loved it when because I was, Billy's getting in trouble. He thinks he's doing something big out there, and Kelley Blue Book's going to tear him up. Well, they like Billy. They said, of course you can use our site. You can mention our name. You can't say that you're Kelley Blue Book. No problem. We became the ultimate buyback team. And now we're doing what we're doing. But anyway, we will use third-party resources, and I'll let you talk about that in just a second. But we'll use third-party resources to actually appraise their car. Mr. Customer, I tell you what you do. You take your vehicle, you know it better than me, and let's look at kellybluebook.com and see what Kelley Blue Book says it's worth. And if you go to Kelley Blue Book and you use fair trade-in value after you've done a walk around with this customer and you've pointed out, because hey, we're going to give you real money for this car, so we have to talk about the dents, the scratches, the reconditioning, all the things that it's going to need, the tires, to get it up here at a sellable level. So if you take Kelley Blue Book fair trade-in amount and justify it with that third-party resource, and then add $5,000 to it, you're going to be close to what the car is worth. And here's the deal. If you have to pay a little bit more to get a good trade-in, it's worth it, because if you go to I want to make this point, and I'll hush. If you go to the auction, like Caleb said, you're competing against AutoNation, Carvana, CarMax, and they create the market. They don't, yes, they do cost average them out, Caleb, but you have those three powerhouses buying the cars. They just created the market. So now whatever they paid for the car is what it's really worth. And I said I was going to hush. I'm going to use this example. A good friend of mine just bought a Buick Enclave and wrecked it. When he bought it, he's the wholesaler. When he bought it, average trade-in was like $25,000. 6 weeks later, when he wrecked it, ran into the back of a car, the average trade-in value was $3,000 higher. So I mean, it's a legitimate offer, man. And that event facilitator that understands that, and and is able to explain that to the customer, they love it. It's a legitimate offer. I know I'm getting what Kelley Blue Book plus more money. So let's do business.
Well, if you think about it, Kelley Blue Book, I don't want to get a hit put out on me by Cox Media, but Kelley Blue Book, for years, I would say, even when I first started selling cars in 2002, we would use Kelley Blue Book to justify a value of a vehicle. And at the time, it was just an early website that gave out trade values. And, they built their company, they built trust, they spent 10, 15 years building like trust with the consumer. Instead of because you no longer got the consumer report paper, now you went to Kelley Blue Book, and then Cox started selling trading marketplace to dealers where they partnered with Manheim, or they actually obviously they own Manheim now, but they partner with Manheim and they have values, and they were able to say we'll bring you into the dealership. Kelley Blue Book will be our value, will be our appraisal tool, and we'll use it to tell the customer, what a car's worth. And then we'll also make the same offer, and we can actually buy the car. You can just drop the car off at Manheim. They'll write you a check. So the dealer started getting all these leads. And then a few years later, Kelley Blue Book replaced that buying center type, some of the marketing part of it. And the customer would go to Kelley Blue Book and then click a button that said, get a check, where they would actually buy the car. So what we saw, what we have seen, people that, because we've been doing this a long time, is that the Kelley Blue Book trade value started to almost align perfectly with the average Manheim MMR market report number, because obviously it's all the same company now. So, that is just a microcosm of how obviously advertising works. You build trust, and then find ways to partner that to make profit. But that's what they did. That's what Kelley Blue Book's done. And so for us, it's a great tool, because at fair trade-in value, it's going to almost be exactly what the Manheim market report number is. And if you can buy a car for average Manheim right now, even paying transportation fees and auction fees and reconditioning, you're still going to be high in the vehicle. So because you're going to have, no one takes a great used car to the auction to get rid of it. So if we have to pay $5,000 over that KBB number and have a great trade-in at the store, it's not hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So anyway, it is the most effective. I mean, let me ask you a straightforward question, Caleb. I've been selling cars since 1996, you since 2002, and you've been into marketing. You were very, very good at it. Obviously, to get the dealers to do business with you and to advise so many dealers and to change so many stores and take them to a 10x level, you've seen the ways that work the best. And this process is the best way. Now, you've seen other events in the past. The Facebook buyback events, which we also found out we can't really buy that domain either. But anyway, the Facebook, the social media style events, how does it rank in the 20 years you've been selling 18 that you've been selling cars as on effectiveness of getting the job done?
I think, thanks. That was fun last week dealing with that Facebook event sale. Apparently you can't say that either. So, but no, that is, to me, it's okay. So before, whether it's TV, radio, internet, third-party leads, no matter what made the Facebook events, what makes them the most effective product in the car business is I would say the average dealership that we work with may have 15 to 18 salespeople and 3 to 4 people in their BDC. That's kind of an average store. We 10x that number with BDC agents for them for that week. And what happens when you 10x a goal, like Grant says, you're going to get that 10-time return. And that's why I think that, when we run an event for a dealer, and what makes it the most effective product in the car business is the people doing the job. But I know that the weeks when we're fully staffed and we have everybody prepared and ready and motivated, that our sales can outperform anybody in the whole the rip-off game of this of what everyone's done with us. No one can outdo what we do when we have, like I said, when everyone's rowing the boat the same way. And that's what makes it the most effective product in the car business, because we give that dealer more staffing than he could ever bring in and train into 3 to 4 days. And that's what makes the big difference.
Okay, I totally agree with you. It is the most effective product in the car business. How does it rank, in your opinion, to like the direct mail events from 10 years ago? That, I cut my teeth with direct mail and with staffed events. That's how I got into the whole serving dealers game. How would you compare one of the social media events that we do to old school direct mail event? Not today. Obviously, today, social media is the only way to go. I mean, direct mail is dying. Some people still use it. I understand it. But in effectiveness for that period, was direct mail better, or these Facebook events better?
I think the Facebook events are better for a couple reasons. One, you can adjust it quickly. If you hire a staffed event company to come in and do a mail event, and you run that mail, and that mail gets stuck at the post office or it gets lost, and anyone who's done mail for any amount of time knows it happens, right? And that mail gets delayed, it gets lost, it doesn't get delivered the right way, and then that staffed event team shows up and there's no traffic coming in. It's a disaster, and it's very, very expensive. Whereas a Facebook event is just a leaner, more efficient, effective way to run. You get the same type of mass traffic. If we have facilitators there, you're going to have the big grosses, you're going to have the excited team. But if your sales going great and you want to push it over the edge, you can print that mail electronically with a click of a button versus waiting another week for more traffic to show up. So you can enhance your sale. You can turn your sale down some. We've had a lot of customers that say, hey, I've got way too many leads, slow it down. And you can't do that with staffed events.
Yes. Okay. To your point, I agree with you totally. And here's what I love about it. When you and I did direct mail, I bought direct mail from you. We printed it together. We learned some things. We built our own ads. We did some great creative pieces and had the most effective mail in the country. Now, what I disliked about that is the time it took, the turnaround time to get it going. And like you say, man, on a holiday, or if you get it wrong, you may be 3 days into your event, your staff's standing around looking and nothing's going on. I had a dealer I did a great sale for. He loved me. He recommended me to all his other dealer friends. He did another mail event with me. We bring in even extra staff, and the mail didn't get delivered. It wasn't our fault, but I never got to do business with him again. Nope. Whereas if we have an event and say that, most of them, I'd say 80% start off with a bang on Sunday, and we really rock and roll from day one. But the 20% that don't, here's the beautiful thing. 3 of the smartest people in the entire country when it comes to developing Facebook ads get on a call. You and me and Sarah, we can put Abby on there, we put Jamie on there. We can talk to the dealer and say, okay, what offer can we make now that's going to be legitimate, that's going to get attention, to create us some interest where we can set appointments. We can change it instantly, and we can make sure that it get, if we want to reach 500,000 people today, we can do it, so we're in control, and we can actually control what's going on.
I got a perfect example of that. We had a dealer email us last week, and I won't say the dealer, but the dealer emailed you and me, and he said, hey man, our event's really struggling, we got to do something about it. And Paul got involved, and we did something about it. I had another dealer in the same marketplace text me yesterday, and he said, I'll just tell you exactly what he said. Let's see here. He said to me, hey man, did you guys do anything for this dealer over Labor Day weekend? I said, yes, they ran everyone's approved for $500. We taught them how to submit it, how to not get in any trouble, how to do it legally in the right way. And they killed it this weekend, and they're super happy. And he says, okay, man, well, I should have done that too. I need to go ahead and set up some events. I want a staffer. I want to do every other week and get my store back on track. So that's a perfect example of how things were struggling. Because we can fix it with Facebook, we fixed it, and then they had a strong weekend. And other dealers noticed it, not them calling and telling us.
Hey, you know what? That just reminded me of something. That's an excellent point. I'm making notes so I don't forget what I'm going to say. I want us to talk about differing opinions, and I want to give an example to some dealers, because you're a great salesperson. I'm a great salesperson, so I could take an inferior product if I wanted to, and I could get a dealer to sign up and spend money with me. But we don't do that. For instance, I'll give you an example of where we're just do what's best for the dealer, and you and I have some differing opinions on about what I'm about to say. I don't want to be just a yes man, because everything you said so far I've agreed with. So you have dealers that you'll call. They've been doing business with us for 2 years, every week or every other week or once a month. And, we made adjustments, and maybe it gets a little bit soft, and you'll actually call the dealer, or I've heard you tell dealers when they're asking to give you a check for $7,000, they're, hey, I want to run a sale on Labor Day weekend, and they just got through with a sale. You'll say, man, you really need to wait and not do it right now. Let that market rest a little bit. Now, that's just proof. I'm making 2 points with it. That's proof that you're going to do what's best for the dealer. You're not looking for a quick $7,000. You want a relationship that lasts a long time with the dealer.
Yeah. And I tell dealers, we're pretty transparent about it. If we spend $3,000 on ads on their Facebook page and they can see it, then $2,000 covers a call center for a week. And that's, 4 to 8 people working, on 8-hour rotational shifts on their event. If they just pay $10 an hour, that would be $3,200 in labor just for the hours that we bill there. And then we estimate $2,000 in profit, and that's less than the average amount they make on one car deal. So so we're not out there just trying to make a lot of money off people. That's why when they call and they're like, hey, I want to do this now, I'll tell them, hey, I understand, but I recommend against it, because your market's soft, you're running way too much, it's not special anymore. And if you're okay with that, and you just want to continue because you like the fact that we get you a lot of appointments and you're okay with it, that's fine. But just know eventually, if you keep doing it, you're going to call me and tell me you had a bad week. But it's because, we just hammered the market. So yeah, we'll turn money down a lot of times, because we like to keep people on a rotation that makes sense for their store. And a lot of I know a lot of our customers on my side, they'll call and they'll say, hey, I'm just going to give you this much money for the month, and you just run it when you think it makes sense, because they trust us now that we're going to do the best thing for them.
Absolutely. And we've learned a lot spending over $5 million on Facebook ads. And you're very close to that Facebook spend. You get the notifications every probably 30 minutes that another $900 has hit the American Express. I want to take a quick second to say thank you again to Ken Walls. Ken Walls is the guy who actually got me to use the StreamYard right here. And Smith, is your microphone on?
Is now.
Okay. How would you rate the StreamYard that we're using and that we got put onto by Ken Walls?
Probably give it an 8.
An 8 out of 10. That's not too bad.
Honest, yeah.
Okay. And so thank you, Ken, for getting us onto that. And I also want to say thank you to Derek Tippins. He said, enjoy your stuff, Billy and Caleb. So obviously, I asked for people to send me some stuff last week. Maybe we have some goodies on the way from Derek Tippins. If we get them, I'll talk about them on the show. And also Junior or JR Arsenaut. How you say that? I think so. Thank you. Good morning to you as well. But Caleb, I tell you what I've learned over the last 2.5 years, 3 years of working hand in hand, day after day with you, shoulder to shoulder, other than the fact that, hey, be very close who you let get close to you. And, that's one thing that we have, we built an amazing relationship that, that I'm always going to do the best thing for your dealers. You're going to do the best thing for my dealers, my employees. And that's what makes us an amazing partnership. But I've learned that markets really do differ. I've always said, 5 years ago, I would say all markets are the same. I can go into any market and I can get these results. Well, we did. This will work in any market. Some markets are better than others. For instance, I have a dealer in Northern Alabama who runs a buyback event 52 weeks out of the year, and he is happy, and it's a good event every single week. It's a great event. We keep breaking records. Now, the last couple of weeks, I'm being fully transparent. We're looking at how we can change it to make it better, and I have got an amazing plan for this dealer. It's going to be big, and we're going to film it, and we're going over there. But so even though that's what I mean by I disagree with you. If somebody's going to wear that market out, I want it to be me and my dealer, but I'm very transparent with my dealer. Look, a copycat's going to come in here and they're going to be sending a similar message. So we might as well be the ones. If it gets soft, let it be soft because we did it. Not the last thing you want to do is run a successful event. The copycat come in and do one in your market the next week. And then you laid off, but really the market wasn't left alone. So,
yeah. And I see that a lot in Florida.
Yeah, I'll let you have Florida.
There's so many people in that market that run. It's a big car market, and so it's always a little more difficult just because it's watered down in that marketplace. But then we get a phone call, and like you said, Northern Alabama, or they give us a call and they go, "Hey, I'm in a small town in Kentucky. I've got about a population of 8,000 people, and we've never ran an event before. I know they're about to have the biggest weekend they've ever had."
Yes. So. Yeah. And there still are. I don't know if you saw the show when we talked about the big numbers, but do you realize if Sarah is still watching, if she'll tell us those numbers again, or if Jamie remembers them? But I think we have reached 800. I'll have to. The impressions, it was freaking insane amount, 300 million or something.
It was something totally crazy.
But we were close to 20% of the population of the country we've reached with one of our ads. But you know what? Obscurity is still our biggest obstacle. But that means, so let me just do some fast math here. 325 million people in America, and we've reached 20% of them. That's 65 million people have seen a Caleb and a Billy ad. That's pretty impressive. I'm very proud of you and me for doing that. Yeah, Sarah still watches. She said, "Oh, Florida." So she's going to give me the exact number. I'm saying 60 million people have been reached, maybe at least 40 million. Okay. Well, that means that we still have 290 million people, 280 million people that haven't seen one of our ads. So this is still the beginning stages of the social media frenzy, man.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that, like we always say, like when they called last week from Facebook and I said, "Hey, no problem about the URL we used for an event we did. We're social media events, or, we're social media lead generation to get to the call center. It's just a means to the end of what we need, which is a fast, effective way to get opportunities for the dealership."
Yeah. So to that point, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate right here and ask you some tough questions, and I think you'll have a quick answer for them. If not, we'll see. Maybe Caleb's not Superman. So Caleb, you guys have been doing these Facebook events for a long time, man. it's, it can't keep on forever. What's, what are you guys going to do next? When everybody's doing it.
Yeah, that's a legitimate question as a dealer. And I think that's where we explain to them, or at least what I tell a dealer is, you're right. It's going to just be like TV that you're still doing from 40 years ago. It's going to be just like radio. Eventually, it's just going to be here. That's why we're always developing new ways to use our best resource, which is our people. So like a lot of my dealers, they're not aware of really what DigiNinja does yet, because I haven't shown them anything, because we want to make sure that we don't lose. Obviously you don't want to Facebook events or social media events or Twitter events, whatever you want to call it. Those events are really effective and strong and profitable and great for everyone, the dealer and for us. And so, you don't want to get out of that market. But I think that what we've proven with the new technology that we've created is that we can solve a larger problem, which is sell more cars, but we can do it with spending less money for the dealer, because most dealers already have a big CRM full of people and opportunities and things that we can work for them effectively, and they already have all that set up. And obviously ad spend doesn't benefit us in any way. So we're going to use social media. We're going to learn from it. We're going to keep helping our dealers perform at the highest level. We've made the mistakes in the past that a lot of people are making right now. So we've overcame all that, but our goal is to keep pushing forward and to find the most effective way to keep getting our call center as involved with the dealership as possible.
Absolutely. And show that comment that you're about to show right there from Canada. Yeah, Sarah's fixing the dealer. So to that point, well, we have a viewer from Canada, Toronto, Canada. Is that how you would say that?
I'm assuming.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. We got people watching from Canada. So hello, Robert Brooker. Thank you for watching from Canada. And Sarah says she's fixing an issue with the dealer, and that goes back to your point of, our people are our biggest asset.
Right.
And I don't care if Facebook goes out of business. There will always be a need for people who understand and know how to communicate with people through message, through digital correspondence, through text message, and on a telephone. So that'll never go out of business. Another point right here, and I'm sorry I hijacked your show, Caleb, but you put, I wanted to get your opinion on all these things, but you mentioned CRM and database. Right now, all we do for dealers is generate new business from Facebook. So you still have, that's why you build 5-year, 10-year relationships with dealers, is you generate all this new business. And when that stops working that way, now we have a huge amount of volume, and dealers can do this themselves. So this is just not an infomercial for us, but so here's what I mean. Run some Facebook ads, get you some people involved and engaged in conversations, give them a lot of information, give away, show them that you're willing to give them a price and work their deal over the phone. And then make sure that you have a way to get them into your CRM. We use DigiNinja, but that's another story. Okay. Whatever you use, you can get them into your CRM. And then 6 months from now, you might have 5,000 people that you can mine yourself and go in and run some type of re-engagement program.
And they're real people that you actually have direct contact with through Messenger. So I've been through several buy sales, and you would buy a store and you would buy those customers, and we would data dump transfer them over. But most of the time it was just trash, because they hadn't been followed up with. They hadn't been in any type of a real communication cycle other than fake templates. And people know when they get junk emails as follow up, they don't even look at them. So,
and speaking of
difference.
Yeah, speaking of real people and real numbers, thank you, Ken Walls, for sending Robert Brooker. We appreciate you sending us new people. And now click on Sarah's numbers again. And Caleb was probably solving a dealer problem on our last show. Read those numbers. Smith, read the numbers to him and tell him exactly what you're talking about there.
That is 43.289 million reached, 5.547 million, I'm assuming, spent, and 457,300,000 impressions.
Almost 500 million impressions, Caleb.
Wow, that's crazy.
500 million, man.
It's a big number.
I'm still amazed by it. I had someone sent me a message yesterday and said, "Were you serious about spending $5 million?" I sent him a screenshot, and I do it quite often. We really spend the money, man. So Caleb, I want to get your opinion on this. I told them yesterday, if you want to be successful in sales and your dealership's not running Facebook ads, you need to spend your own money on Facebook ads, and you need to spend a lot of money. You need to spend so much money that it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah. If you're not advertising for yourself, like if you're a salesperson and you're not willing to do it, you can run your own ads in your own marketplace and don't even worry about. I mean, I could run Caleb Wilson is at so-and-so dealership I'm working at, and I'm paying $4,000 over KBB for trades this week and get my own customers. Yeah. I mean, you may want to make your general manager aware, but you can do it yourself, and you don't have to sit around and complain and go, I don't get any leads. I don't get any internet opportunities. I don't get any of the good ups. You can generate them yourself just with Facebook and just by running your own ads. So anybody can do it. Anyone can make themselves successful with it. I helped a good friend start a new business, and with just Facebook spending $300 a week, he was able to he's booked for 2 months, and there's a lot of people doing what he does. They just didn't know how to communicate with people and get opportunities. So
yeah. And if you're at a store, if you notify your general manager that you're going to be doing this, and he tells you no, you're probably at the wrong store. There's plenty of dealers out there. There's plenty of dealerships out there who embrace social media, embrace digital advertising, and would love. If I'm a general manager and I got a salesperson say, "Hey, I'm going to run a buyback campaign. I'm going to spend my own money." I'm going to say, "I'll tell you what, buddy, I'll match that. Let's do twice as much as you were going to do." So
most people would willingly do that.
These things were I really wanted to talk to Caleb about this because I've been talking to other people. And, I've been listening to other experts, but sometimes I like to come to my own experts, Caleb and myself. So now that I've hijacked 47 minutes of your show, Caleb, what do you want to spend the last 13 minutes talking about?
Well, we can, it's no problem. We'll just push some of this to next week. But I do want to talk about communication because I had a lot of general managers I've been talking to lately have said, man, I'm having some communication issues with my dealer. And it's normal when things it's normal. I had a really, really close guy yesterday call and said, man, I've been in my position for 15 years and I've just been pushed back, kicked in the teeth and set back some. And I don't even know what I did. I don't even know why. So I want to talk about communication between the dealer and the general manager and why that communication is so important for the company to run the way it should run. So I guess if we'll spend 10 minutes on it and we'll just carry it into next week, if that's good with you. All right, so I'm going to start with just talking about, we all understand like a totem pole, right? In the ancient culture, the Indian culture, a totem pole kind of showed the family hierarchy of who was in charge. And every dealership has that same totem pole of, usually it's owner, general manager, sales, general sales manager, and down that ladder. But there's also a lot of different parts in the store. You've got your comptroller, your office manager, your service manager, your parts manager. You have all these people. So I think one thing a lot of the GMs that I talk with are struggling with is what really is their position? Are they really the general manager, or are they a general sales manager given that title? Do they have the authority to make fixed operations decisions, or is that the fixed operation director's job? And really, all they need to do is manage things like effective labor rate and tickets and CSI, or are they really in charge of that department? So communication, setting up your general manager with clear expectations of what defining his role really means and not giving it just that general manager title, that'll help that guy know what he can and can't do. And it'll eliminate things that come from not having clear communication. So I had listed some things down, just what bad communication causes. And, it causes, number one, it causes turnover. If that guy's uncomfortable, if he doesn't feel like he has the confidence of the ownership group, it makes him look for a better opportunity where he can do what he wants. So usually, I know when you and I talk to a general manager who left a store, he always tells us, man, it just wasn't a good fit. The ownership wouldn't let me do my job. They wouldn't let me do what I wanted to, how I felt best to run it. But then they managed me off the expectations of doing it a different way. So It causes turnover. It causes trust. It causes trust issues. It causes animosity. It causes a lot of just poor job expectations, and poor communication causes a lot of bad things. Whereas if it's well communicated, it gives you what you really want, which is a great atmosphere, great customer employee satisfaction, which leads to great customer satisfaction, which leads to a profitable business. So I really wanted to get into that next week, I guess, about just a general manager ownership relationship. But I did have a couple of things I wrote down about, how maybe just some real quick things somebody could do this week, and then we could, discuss more next week, some things to do. Yeah. So what I wrote down, one is, always, and I think we all know this, but I see this a lot in car dealerships. I see a lot of short tempers. I see a lot of things people wish they wouldn't have said. But I think it goes back to only praising people in public and only doing the training or any type of correction in a private setting in a closed door. So the first thing the general manager needs to have is the confidence of everyone he's trying to lead. And if that owner comes in and questions his decisions in front of everyone, belittles him, and makes him, lets people see that the owner doesn't have full confidence in that guy, it's going to be a big issue. It's going to cause a lot of problems. And that's not just obviously in a dealership, that's anywhere, but that's the number one thing that I hear complaints about. The number two thing I hear complaints about is the owner. Like if you have an active owner in a store and a general manager, well, what's the difference in the two jobs? Like, is the guy that's supposed to run the store really running the store? And if he is, why are people being allowed to come to that owner and go around him? Unless, if a guy did something wrong with, a human resources issue, then yeah, of course it makes sense. But salespeople shouldn't be going around a general manager to talk about a car deal with an owner. Salespeople shouldn't be going and saying, hey, he took my day off away, or hey, he changed my schedule, or, any of that stuff. It really can't go around the guy who's supposed to be running a store. Could you talk about that, Billy, about how just what we're talking about, how the trust breakdown and the communication really controls the whole heartbeat of a business?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. As an owner, I've seen good examples and bad examples. Here's a bad example. Hiring a general manager, and this is exactly what you're saying. I'm just going to say it a Billy way. If you hire a general manager and then try to analyze everything he does, question every decision, even behind closed doors, you don't need a general manager. You need to be doing the whole thing yourself. Right. But if you hire a general manager, get out of his way. You can talk to him 10 times a day. You can make sure what's going on. You can monitor him. But if you thought enough of him to hire him and give him a general manager's position, let me tell you what, he's ambitious. He's hardworking. He's already proven himself. Stay out of his way, man. Let good people do what they're good at, and you go be the owner. Now, as the general manager, you have some decisions to make. If you've got a dealer who's letting you do what you want to do, like I say, he's going to give you enough rope, because there's a lot of turnover in that general manager position too. That's a tough job to have. So, you need to make sure that you're watching Caleb and you're listening to these things and that you're doing things. This was a mistake I made, so I'm qualified to tell you, do not correct your salespeople with a ugly look on your face. You really need to learn some patience. You need to close that door. And we've all seen it. We've all done it, or I've done it. I've never seen Caleb do it, where, my temper is getting long. My fuse is getting longer, but I have made a mistake of just scolding somebody on the showroom floor, and I lost that salesperson. That's my fault. I'm taking responsibility for it.
That's right. Yeah, and you lose more than the person. You'll lose the respect of the other people. So I don't think, I always tell people I never yelled at anyone in the dealership setting, because usually when a salesman did something really bad, it came from two places. One, they didn't understand what they were supposed to do right, or two, they were honestly in a financial spot, and they just made bad decisions because they were so focused on another problem they couldn't see how to solve the one that they were dealing with at work. So usually they didn't just wake up and say, let me go be an idiot. It was a result of something that I could have coached better at or solved if I had just been paying attention. So
yeah,
you know
what?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to say that's a 3 stars right here. Okay. Caleb Wilson just said that he's never yelled at anyone in a dealership setting. We can all learn from that. If you don't have the patience of that, then say, you know what? I'm aware that I don't have that type of patience, but I need it. So, admitting that you need more patience and that there's never a time to yell at someone in a dealership setting is a very big deal. It really is.
Yeah. And then, just a little bit more about that. It's just, just have everyone. Open communication is good, a good thing to have. But like I was trying to think like why dealers act this way, or why do I keep hearing this? And I just think it's natural. In the number one law, in the 48 laws to power is never outshine the master. And so a lot of times that general manager, it's like if you want to have control, if you want to, I don't want to say manipulate, but one of the rules to gaining power is not letting the person that's above you realize that you're trying to grow and become powerful. And I think a lot of the guys that are in that alpha power position as the dealer, a lot of those guys don't want to give up their number one spot in the eyes of everyone in the store. So there's a power struggle that goes on. And it's like what a dealer really has to do sometimes is say, what's my ultimate goal? And if my ultimate goal is to have a great company, and I don't want to be here every day, I want a general manager so I can go do other things, then I'm going to have to let go of that power and let that guy do his job and not worry about being outshined by that guy and just giving that up a little bit, because you may be losing a little power, but you're getting back a better company that you own, that you're invested in.
Yes, and so I'm going to give my opinion on this. When you have someone, and when you have the man on top who is trying to protect his power, not wanting to give up his power, wanting to remain that number one spot, and not giving the person under him that power, I think it's two things. It's either immaturity or insecurity, because the best thing that I've done is hire very talented people and surround myself with a team that can do almost all the things that I do. Yes, I'm a brand. Yes, there's some dealers that I'm going to have to talk to, but every single day, I mean, I just hired a new performance manager to do a lot of the things that I was responsible for. Paul Sullivan is the operations manager here, and you can always call this dealership and you can get Paul or you can get Jeremy. Somebody's going to always be here, and I let them make the decisions. If they've ever made a decision that I disagree with, we'll talk about it. But hey, man, I would love for them to be able to do it all, and I could spend even more time being creative and developing new products.
That's right. Well, that's what it's going to take for a guy to really be more successful in the communication. But like I said, next week I've got a lot of communication stuff. It's going to be a good show for sales managers. It's going to be about things that they have to do to keep their job, but they're going to get hung out to dry for if it ever comes back on them. A lot of things that are unsaid in a dealership that we deal with as dealership employees. So I think maybe bridge that gap of communication. So for dealers watching the show, I'm going to try to tell you a lot of things that your people are saying that you're never going to hear.
Yep. All right. I love it, man. Thanks so much. Grant's show's about to start in a couple minutes, so we'll hop on off here. Thanks so much, Caleb. Next Thursday, we're going to talk about dealer communication, and then I'm going to have some more things that I know I want to get Caleb's opinion on. We'll see you next week, brother. Talk soon.
Have a good day. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Hey, I wanted to say, Robert Brooker, that's a pretty funny story right there. He said I had to move the car. The people whose house I was stopped in front of came home. So I guess he was stopped in front of someone's house watching the show. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Ken Walls, he wants a shirt. I got to do better about sitting up. My new studio is going to have it all. It's going to make me look so much more professional. We're hopefully in a couple of weeks, we're redoing the parking lot, redoing the entire inside. It's almost done, painting, colors, signs, new roof. It's going to be amazing. And Ken Walls wants to know where he can buy a shirt. Ken Walls, I'm supposed to have a shop on my website, BillyMerritt.com. So Smith, you need to get with Ken Walls and get me a shop. It'll be the store, BillyMerritt.com/store. Can you help me with that, Ken Walls? And Jeremy, where's Jeremy Newell? Is he off today?
He is off today. Be back tomorrow.
I'm gonna have to have a talk with him behind closed doors.
No days off.
Yeah, no days off. Jeremy needs to get with Ken Walls, because Jeremy is our marketing manager and our performance manager, and we're gonna put all kind of swag on that store that you and Ken developed. Smith, you know Ken Walls, you do, don't you?
I've talked to him once or twice.
All right, thanks guys, I appreciate it. Ken Walls, before I go, can I get a commitment from you to be on the show? That'd be a good show. We could do it on your show and my show at the same time, maybe. I'd love to do it. Let me know if you'll do that. Send Smith a message. And oh, by the way, we have a couple of titans in the business coming next week. Did you remember who they were?
Next week?
You don't remember, do you? Dave Robarb is going to be on here. That's one guy.
You sent me the message about Chad Morgan.
Quick page. We're going to have we got West Coast people. We got Miami people. We've got Kentucky people. We've got Louisville. That is Kentucky. But anyway, we got people. We got the Texas people. Ken Walls said he's in. I'm running into Grant's time right now. So I'm out of here. We'll see you tomorrow, guys.